Timer for Supergirl Season 1, Episode 19, Myriad, and I was really looking forward to this episode, especially because that crazy cliffhanger we left on in the last episode, and I will say this episode, of course, wasn't as great as the last one. Of course, the Supergirl Flash crossover was just awesome. This was a really great episode, though. I thought it was a very strong one. Very interesting stuff going on here, and a lot gearing up for the season finale next week, which I am definitely looking forward to. But let's just get into this episode. There's a lot to get into, and I overall really did enjoy it. So, at the DO, Lucy and her agents inform Non that the headquarters is secure, and Non tells them to release all prisoners except for John, and Vasquez does so. And Lucy then goes to the cell, holding one prisoner, Maxima, who says that she's queen of the planets Almerac. And unimpressed, Lucy releases Maxima, and the alien immediately knocks to the guards, grabs Lucy. Lucy tells that Myriad has begun, and Non calls Maxima to his allegiance. Once they swear their fidelity to Non, the prisoners will be the kings and queens of Earth. Now, as we know, basically this is all being controlled by Non. We know that all these humans, they basically are just walking like zombies. I mean, we do get more context of what's going on, though, which I definitely did like. And I have to say, this was by far, I think, Non's best episode. Yeah, because he was threatening, he was creepy. I mean, I really did feel that villainous presence in him, and I really did like seeing that. Not that I haven't before, but this episode especially, I really did feel that. So Maxima agrees to save Non. The two women go to the command center. Supergirl attacks them. Maxima fights back. Maxima's strength is the equivalent of a Kryptonian, and she holds her own against Supergirl. Supergirl finally manages to knock her out, and the DO agents open fire with kryptonite weapons. And as she takes cover, Supergirl yells at Lucy to fight the mind control. Lucy and Vasquez keeps firing, and Supergirl uses her spaceship as a shield. She then activates the engines, knocking them down, and manages to override the cell, override just in time. And once she pries a kryptonite bullet out of her arm, Supergirl apologizes to the unconscious Lucy, because obviously she's, hurt Lucy, and basically, we go back to the Fortress of Solitude in this episode, which means we do see Indigo, who, again, just was the weakest thing about this episode. The thing was, the episode wasn't completely focused on her, but Non is having Indigo help him in this episode, and again, I just don't feel that she was that threatening. I don't think that she's that great, and like I said, I think Laura Vandervoort was very miscast in this role. She's not a bad actress, she just isn't a very convincing Indigo. So Supergirl flies to Fortress of Solitude. Kelly and Kalex reports that Superman is off planet, and it warns that it isn't authorized to discuss Myriad, but Supergirl points out that it's programmed to obey any member of the House of El, and Kalex flies off, and clearly there's something that Kalex does not want to tell her, and she doesn't understand, but the fact that Superman, she can't even find Superman, the Allura AI appears and explains that Myriad was designed to prevent Kryptonian destruction. Astra implemented the technology to force people to obey her, and when she and Non were captured, the two of them were sent to Fort Roz. The High Council banned any mention of Myriad because it could be used to control any planets, and Laura warns that Myriad cannot be stopped. Now, we remember that's why, basically, she doesn't want Kara to speak of Myriad. Because if you remember, in that one episode, she spoke of Myriad, and right away, Laura shut it down, and it's clear that that basically is what's going on. This is a very dangerous thing that is, basically, it can control anything, and she didn't want Kara to have to do that. So you can already tell why Myriad is such a detriment and why it's such, a big deal. 30 miles outside of Midvale, a bus that is disguised Alex is pulled over, and basically we see what I thought we were going to see in the Supergirl Flash crossover. We get to see Alex and John on the hunt to find Jeremiah. As we know, Jeremiah is alive. They're trying to find him. That's basically what they do in this episode, which I was happy about because I knew that we were going to get that at some point, and of course, we couldn't in the crossover. There was still a lot going on there. But luckily, this episode, we did get to see that stuff. And the troopers say that they're looking for two fugitives. Alex secretly draws her gun, and the trooper scans the passengers. They don't recognize Alex because she's wearing a wig, and the eyes of the boys seated next to Alex glow red, which is very smart in that they're undercover, obviously because they're being hunted, especially John. We know that he's being hunted. But basically, they're trying to find Jeremiah. And Supergirl then flies to Cat, who discovers all the employees mindlessly typing Kryptonian code at their stations, and Cat is wondering, why is everything so calm? When is one of the employees doesn't respond when Supergirl tries to get through to him. She goes to find James and discusses that he's under Myriad's influence as well, and General Sam Lane is on the news from where he's stationed outside of National City and says that the army has quarantined the city, and Supergirl contacts him, says that Lucy's alive and safe, but admits that she's affected by Myriad, and I was surprised. General Lane was not a dick in this episode, surprisingly. I didn't think that It was possible, but he actually did listen to her. She asked Lane to keep everyone inside the city and let her deal with the situation, and Lane agrees and actually wishes her luck. He actually doesn't get involved, and I'm happy about that, because she's telling him, look, it's a very dangerous situation, and he actually does listen to her, and that I really enjoyed. It was out of character, but it's good, because you guys know I can't stand General Lane, so I'm glad that he actually did let Supergirl do her stuff here, and he did let her do her own thing. So Kat arrives, free-willed, and Supergirl realizes that she isn't affected by Myriad, and obviously, that's very interesting. So she explains what's happening. Kat finally notices that something is wrong, and Superman calls Supergirl on her cell phone and says that he's coming to help. And I know a lot of people were pissed off that we didn't actually physically see Superman, but at least we got the mention. We know he's out there. We know that we're probably going to see him at some point. And Supergirl runs to the balcony, looks for her cousin, but he falls under Myriad's influence and joins the mind control population. And just knowing that this can happen to Superman, I mean, this could happen to her. It really is crazy to think about that Myriad is this bad, but it actually is controlling Superman. And that's pretty much the equivalent of if Lex Luthor was to control Superman. I mean, just think of that whole situation. So Kat wonders why they're unaffected, because they're not affected, and Max comes out, and basically Lord comes out and says that he has his moments, and this by far was Lord's most trustworthy episode yet. Not that he hasn't been trustworthy, but this was the episode where we really are seeing Lord as a hero. He really wants to save the team. We've seen him like that before, like falling, of course, when it was very responsible. You know, we know that he felt really bad for what happened with Kara, but this episode, he really does take responsibility, and he is actually willing to help, and I definitely really love that. So, and he really did come across as the hero. So in Kat's office, Lord explains he's using an ion blocker once he realized that Non is using his LTE satellite interface system to generate the Myriad signal. He didn't get the blockers to the DO because he didn't trust anyone there, and Kat is wearing the earrings that Lord sent her, and he secretly put an ion blocker in them, and Supergirl wonders why Superman was affected, because she's not affected, and Lord explains that since Kal was raised on Earth, it made his brain more human, and he admits that the Kryptonians put force fields around the satellites and can't reach them, and of course, as we know, Supergirl wasn't raised on Earth. She was, on Earth till she was, on, Krypton till she was 12, and basically he plans to kill Non and his followers, because it's the best thing to do. But why isn't Kat affected? We know why, obviously, because of the ion blocker in her earring, so I think that's very interesting, and I like seeing this. I thought this was very interesting the way we saw this. So at the Kryptonian base, Non and Indigo monitor National City. Non is pleased that nothing can stand against them, and Indigo reminds him that Supergirl's unaffected. Again, Indigo's acting is just not that great here. Lord Vandervoort is not bad as Indigo, she's just very miscasted. He dismisses that Supergirl as inconsequential, but Indigo says that they should have just killed her, and Non doesn't see the point, but Indigo warns that if he doesn't kill her, then he will have to fight her, and she knows that Non doesn't want to have to do that. He knows that, she knows that he obviously is not as strong as Supergirl. I mean, we saw in the, we saw in the premiere how strong, Supergirl, that fight between Supergirl and Non, we saw how powerful she was, we saw how easy she was to take him out, so she can take him out with no problem. I mean, he clearly wants her to he clearly is asking to be taken out, and, I think that she wants to, and no problem, so definitely you can see that I think he's kind of terrified of fighting her, very interesting. So Eliza then returns home, finds Alex and the shapeshifted John waiting for her. We see John then transforms into Hank, and Eliza remembering the Hank that recruited Jeremiah. Alex explains that Henshaw blackmailed her father into joining the DO, and that Hank saved him, and Alex says that they're on the run, and Eliza tells them what's happening in National City, because of course they don't know what's going on there, but obviously it's a very crazy situation because of the Myriad. So Lord explains that he won't explain his plan until he knows the Cat and Supergirl are both on board, because he doesn't really know if they actually want to go along with this, and he insists that they're at war, and the only time to win is to kill the enemy, and he doesn't feel there's another, there's anything else they can do, but just straight up kill Non, and Non comes in, tells Supergirl that she will kneel before him. He advises her to accept the fact that she's already lost, and Supergirl says that says that in Astra's final moments they forgave each other, and Non insists that Astra wanted peace on Earth and now can live rather than suffer Kryptonian's faith, and basically, he is continuing what Astra wanted, but he's doing it just a lot worse, and there are no more racial or political division, and all the people are working to save the world. Supergirl insists that humanity is better than that, but Non points out that Lord and Kal have spent their time helping the populace, amusing themselves to death, and basically, these, those two, they've just, they have said a lot of things. They've said a lot of shit that really has offended a lot of people, and I do get Non's point here. And that's the theme of this episode. I thought Non's motivation was very strong. He's not just carrying on Astra because, what Astra wanted to do because he wants to. He really believes in what she wants to do and really wants to turn against Lord and Cat because he feels that these are two figures that don't deserve to, that don't deserve humanity and things like that. They have gone against humanity. They've said some very inhumane comments, and he obviously is very upset about that. So Win and James speak up, insisting that basically everyone is untied to eradicating famine, disease, and climate change. Lord figures that Non is using the brain power of everyone's mind to save the world, to solve the world's problems. Non realizes that Win and James are Supergirl's friends and commands Win, James, and another employee, Kelly, to walk to the balconies. Crazy scene here. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. They jump. Supergirl flies out, grabs James and Win. However, she isn't fast enough to catch Kelly, who falls to her death, and that was crazy. I mean, obviously, we don't really care about Kelly, but just the fact that she died, I mean, was crazy. So Non speaks through the two men, warning that if Supergirl stands against him, then more will die. He says that now he has saved National City, he will save the world, and you can tell he's not just letting this happen in National City. He wants this to be like a worldly thing. And at the Danvers house, we see John looks at photos of Jeremiah and his family. He tells Eliza that he was with Jeremiah when he died. He promised to keep Alex and Kara safe, and Eliza thanks him, starts analyzing how he can shapeshift, and John points out that she's just like Alex. Meanwhile, Alex calls Supergirl, explains that they're at Eliza's, and Supergirl tells her about Lord's protection, and that they don't have any choice but to trust Lord, and they really have, it's really the best thing they can do. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's the one that's saved them from the whole Myriad situation. The best thing to do is to trust him, and basically, Alex tells John and Eliza what is happening, and John figures that he's immune to Myriad because he, is a Martian, and he insists that Alex stay behind and leaves because obviously she's not immune to it. She's human, which means she can contract it, and I like that they really made a lot of that very simple. I mean, I thought this was going to be very complicated, but they made it really simple to understand. Basically, if you're human, you can be affected by Myriad, but if you're not, then you're okay. Or if you have the ion blocker, which is something that, obviously John is not aware of, and something that I think he needs to get her. And I was wondering if he was going to get Alex the ion blocker, because obviously we don't want Alex to turn to Myriad, but I really didn't know what's going to happen here. So at Catco, Lord asks Supergirl if she's ready to do what needs to be done. Once she agrees, he explains that he was working on a bomb filled with kryptonite dust, and once it's set off, it will choke the Kryptonians to death. And Cat points out the bomb will kill Superman and Supergirl, and Lord says that Supergirl can detonate the bomb over the city center. Then she and Superman will leave. She won't be able to come back for 50 years, but it's a small price to pay. And basically, it really works in their benefit. Obviously, they're not affected by Myriad and everything, but the Lord admits that the concussive force will kill 8% of the population. Over 300,000 people will die, and they're not going to be able to save them. And obviously, like I've said before, Supergirl really does want to save everyone. She wants to save everyone. She knows she can't save everyone, but she does want to. And I like the Lord telling her, look, people are going to die, and you're not going to be able to save everyone, but if you do this, you will have to get to save, half the population. However, this might not work in your benefit. So he points out that Non will turn 7 million people into zombies, and figures that Supergirl is considering it because their only chance, and Lord warns that he won't let the Kryptonians conquer Earth, and every second they waste threatens of all of humanity. He tells Supergirl that it's time to save the world and asks if she's with him. So Lord then contacts Sam's, the Lane says that the president has given her approval to Max's plan, and basically, he says, basically Lane says, may God have mercy on their souls, and Lord says that if there was a God, he's sure that she wouldn't have put us in this mess in the first place. Supergirl wonders how Lord became so ruthless, and he explains that he warned us, which is a good question, because we know how vicious and how creepy Lord really was in the beginning of the season. I mean, we remember the whole situation with, Bizarro, things I mean, he was a creepy dude, but now he's really a normal guy, and he's still ruthless, but he really is more on the hero side rather than the villainy side, and he explains that he warned his parents about the faulty hazmat suits that got them killed. No one listened to him, including the CDC, and Lord swore that from then on he wouldn't wait on permission to save people. He says that he and Supergirl are more alike than she thinks, and heads to his facility to get the bomb ready. And I like seeing Lord again as a hero. I never really believed that he was a villain. It just, the way that they were going, it always seemed false. It seemed like they weren't taking it seriously, so I like that they've made him a hero. It just makes more sense. We don't need, when you have Non, we don't need another hero. That's the thing. We didn't need Lord to be a hero, and I like that he wasn't, that he was basically ended up being a hero, not a villain. I like that we saw that. So Non returns, tells Indigo that he didn't kill Supergirl so she could suffer seeing her friends enslaved. He says that they expand Myriad's influence across the planet, but Indigo dismisses his ambitions as petty, and Non insists that he's the Lord of Earth, and Indigo says that he could be the Lord of the Universe thanks to Myriad, because, he wants to make this global. He doesn't just want to make this on national state. He wants to make this global, and the mind-controlled army, if it has given him, she says that the entire universe could worship Non as she does, and basically, Non wants to be this huge dictator-like presence, kind of like Hitler almost, just where he commands everyone to do things and that they're forced to. I mean, it really is a crazy situation what Non really wants, which is a lot more than what Astra wanted. Astra just wanted to clean up the planet. She just wanted to make Earth better and clean up things like that. Non pretty much wants to just dictatorship. He wants to take over everything, wants everyone to bow down to him. I mean, he really is asking for a lot, and it's really crazy to think about. So Alex prepares to go, with John insisting that she won't let him go it alone. Eliza agrees with John, but Alex says that John can protect her from his telepathy. John reluctantly agrees, and Eliza hugs her daughter before she goes. Alex starts to tell her that Jeremiah is still alive, but John interrupts her, and Alex says that she'll tell Eliza when she comes back, because obviously that's the reason that they're there. And John then transforms to his Martian form and leaves with Alex, and basically they didn't tell Eliza what's going on here. So at Catco, Cat joins Supergirl on the balcony. She points to the people will die when Lord tries to save the city. Supergirl asks what she would have her do, and Cat says that she should come up with a better plan. Supergirl says that Alora faced the same decision on Krypton. Alora chose wrong and failed to save Krypton like she promised, wiping the plan from the stars, and because of that, she wasn't able to save them. And Cat says that they're all scared, and they're letting their fear guide them. She tells Supergirl that someone is to stand up despite their fear, and I noticed something else. Kara was not Kara in this episode. Like, every scene she was Supergirl, and I thought that was kind of cool, because most times we've seen her being Kara, she wasn't even Kara in this episode, mainly because Cat has to assume that Kara is affected by the Myriad situation, and obviously Cat can't see Kara because of that. That would just make sense. So Supergirl showed that there was another way to be strong by having faith in people and believing that goodness will prevail. And because of Supergirl, Cat is to let people in like Kara and her son Adam. And Cat says that Supergirl is taught her that hope is greater than fear, and she believes that Supergirl can change everyone in the city by being Supergirl. And this really is how she turned things around, because we know that she still is working on her reputation. I mean, people are still starting to worship her and are still starting to understand her. We know last episode she did start to win a lot of people's fate back, but she does still need to prove that she can still be everyone's fate. I mean, that really is what she does. And we know that Supergirl, it's not just about, restoring hope in herself. It's that she inspires a lot of people to have hope and do great things and things like that. And Supergirl hugs Kat and says that she has an idea. And the way this is headed, I really would not be surprised if Kara ends up revealing her identity to Kat. Just the way that this is going, the way the Kara's kind of changed Kat's life for the better. I really think that's going to end up happening in the season finale. I just don't know why. I just kind of feel like that has to happen. She's the only one that doesn't know, and it would just make sense if she did. So at the Kryptonian base, Indigo detects John approaching. John and Alex land at a construction site, and John warns that it's taking up a lot of his mental energy to shield Alex. He wants to obviously protect her, but he assures her that he won't sacrifice her, and says that he didn't want to worry Eliza by letting Alex tell her that Jeremiah is alive, because obviously Eliza would want to find Jeremiah, would want to go with them, but it's really kind of a very dangerous mission. And Indigo then yanks Alex away, shrugs off the bullet when John fires. She reminds John that he's a sole survivor of Mars, and John attacks her. He throws her into a nearby shed, and the fuel explodes. Like I said, as much as I don't like Indigo, this was a pretty badass scene. This scene in general was awesome. I loved it overall. Indigo emerges from the flames, slams John into a truck, impaling him in the chest. She then threatens to kill Alex unless John surrenders. Alex tells John to find Supergirl, save the city, but John reverts to his Martian form, collapses from his wound, and that was crazy way that happened. I mean, obviously, he's not dead, but he's very badly hurt, and he can't help her right now. So Supergirl and Cat then go to Lord's lab. Supergirl explains her plan. She said that she's counting on hope and points out that no one will win if he detonates the bomb. It's just not the best thing to do. Supergirl points out that Lord hated her for using her powers indiscriminately, and now he's going to do the same thing. And she tells Lord that they can't let her fear direct their actions, and asks them to make a choice that honors both their parents. And after a moment, Lord agrees to listen to Supergirl's plan, and we know that Supergirl doesn't kill. That's like the one thing she doesn't do. She's not going to let all these people die. She wants them to live, and it just wouldn't be a heroic heroic thing. So Indigo brings Alex out of the mind control spell, non-explaining that she's at the heart of the Kryptonians' operation. He reminds Alex that she killed Alora, and he explains that he wants Alex alive so we can see the pain and fear in her eyes as she dies, and obviously we knew that he was going to go after her because Alex killed Astra, and basically, Alex says Astra came to her, told her how to save Supergirl from the Black Mercy. She lost her taste for Myriad, and Indigo tells Non that she knows that it hurt Alex and Supergirl, and what they plan on doing at the end of this episode is just awesome. We'll get into that, but Kat then takes Supergirl and Max to a closed TV station where she first worked, says they're there to show people a symbol of hope. The people will recognize it under the Myriad spell, and Lord then piggybacks the signal off of Myriad, so if that Indigo can't trace them, Kat wonders how Lord knew she would wear the earrings, and he admits that he didn't. He just hoped that she would, and basically, he didn't make them specifically for her. He just hoped that they would have the ion blockers in them. So, luckily she was in luck, and she wasn't part of the Myriad, which really did work in her benefit. So, something makes a noise outside. Supergirl goes to investigate, and it's Alex wearing a kryptonite battlesuit. Non speaks through her, saying that she found an opponent that knows Supergirl's every weakness. Supergirl refuses to fight her sister because she doesn't want to do that, but Non says she has no choice. Either Supergirl dies or she kills Alex, and Alex draws the same kryptonite sword that she used to kill Astra. Non says he wants Supergirl to join Astra in death. They leap at each other, and they're going to be forced to fight, which is going to be crazy to see, but that's how the episode ends, and I am so looking forward to next week's finale. I mean, the way that Non is challenging her is crazy. We now know what Non wants. Like I said, he wants to be this dictator. He kind of just wants to rule the entire world, and yeah, sure, we've seen so many villains with, world domination, but hey, at least Non has a clear reason, and it's not just, oh, I'm finishing what Astra started. That's not the only reason why he's here. He has his own reasons for doing it. He doesn't want to do things the way that Astra is. He's a lot more vicious than Astra, and he's a lot more evil than she was. Astra had some good in her. We know that. Carb convinced her that she had good in her, but we know that Non clearly doesn't. Obviously, she's not going to fight Alex. We don't really know what's going to happen. Is Alex going to die? I mean, we don't really know. I don't know if Alex is going to die, but again, I'm thinking someone major is going to die. Why? Because season 1 of The Flash, someone major died. Season 1 of Arrow, someone major died. I think it would only make sense for someone major in Supergirl season 1 to die. Now, who it's going to be, I don't know. But my bet's on Alex. Just the way this is going, I don't know if Alex is really going to get out of this situation. Granted, it would really change the dynamic for Alex and Kara, but it could be interesting to see what happens if they do deal with this death. But I'm looking more at John. I think maybe John Jones or James. Someone is dying next week. I definitely know. I don't know who, but someone I definitely think is going to die. Is Supergirl going to be able to take down Non? I feel like she wants to, but we don't really know what's going to happen there. Like I said, I do think that if Kara's going to end up revealing her identity, Kat, just the way this whole show is going, it really seems like that's where that's headed, but we'll have to see what's going on with that. Obviously, Myriad, is this really going to work? The Myriad virus is still out there. Is there a way to stop it? We'll have to see what happens with that. Are we going to see her team up with Superman? How can she save Superman? We'll have to see what happens with that. But overall, guys, I really enjoyed this episode. It really was, like I said, it really was set up for the finale, but it showed us things you need to see. It really showed how intense the finale is going to be. I can't wait for next week's finale. I can't believe we're already on the finale next week, but we are in the finale. I know you guys saw this episode. Really did enjoy this one. I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for tonight's episode of Bates Motel, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.